King Charles raised his hand and brought the entire Garter procession to a sudden halt. Right there, in front of hundreds of international media lenses, Queen Camilla had unexpectedly stepped into the formation, cutting between Prince William and Princess Catherine in a way nobody around them could ignore. What looked at first glance like a confusing public interruption was quickly described by palace watchers as something far more serious. According to claims circulating inside the royal household, this was no accident. It was allegedly the visible end of a plan that had been forming behind closed doors, a plan meant to push Catherine away from the central frame and leave her standing in the shadows. But Camilla, according to this account, had not expected William to be ready. She had not expected the hidden camera trap. 12 days before the important Garter procession at Windsor, the atmosphere inside St. George's Hall had already turned tense. The ancient stone walls, which had witnessed centuries of royal triumphs and family fractures, now seemed to hold a different kind of pressure. Under the dim yellow rehearsal lights, the polished wooden floor reflected the figures of senior royals standing in their suggested ceremonial positions. The tension rose almost immediately when Queen Camilla entered. She walked toward the area where the visual and technical team had set up their monitoring screens, her attention fixed on the large displays that captured every movement in the rehearsal formation. Every smile, every head turn, every small adjustment of Princess Catherine's ceremonial hat appeared to draw her eye. In that moment, according to the palace version being whispered afterward, Catherine's natural presence became impossible for Camilla to ignore. No matter how carefully Camilla dressed as queen consort, no matter how formal her place beside the king appeared, the public's warmth still seemed to flow toward the younger woman standing behind her. That reality, insiders claimed, cut deeper than anyone in the room wanted to admit. And from that feeling, envy allegedly hardened into a plan. Camilla, according to the account, refused to share the center of the live broadcast. She turned to an assistant standing nearby with a script folder and pointed toward the monitor showing the procession route. In a cold, controlled tone, she allegedly demanded that the Wales procession segment be split into 2 separate parts. The effect of that change would have been clear. Catherine would be moved farther back, placed where the tall stone pillars of the Grand Hall could partially block her from the strongest camera angles. She would still technically be present, but visually weakened. The main frame would belong to Camilla and the king. The alleged goal was simple: reduce the visibility of the Prince and Princess of Wales, push Catherine away from the visual center, control the red carpet arrangement so that the public saw the monarchy through Camilla's preferred composition rather than the natural pull of the next generation. Camilla believed, according to those claims, that if she controlled the positioning, she could control the image. But she underestimated her stepson. Prince William, carrying the legacy of the late Princess Diana and the future of the crown on his shoulders, was standing near the front of the rehearsal lineup. He heard enough of the instruction to understand exactly what was happening. He did not hesitate. William walked directly toward the technical monitoring area, his expression hard and his anger barely contained. Years of buried resentment appeared to rise in that moment, not as an outburst, but as a decision. He was not speaking as a polite stepson. He was speaking as a husband, a father, and the future king. He did not use elaborate language. He did not soften the message with palace phrases. Standing close enough for the technical staff to freeze in place, William looked toward Camilla and made his position unmistakably clear. My wife stands next to me. No one, I repeat, no one is allowed to push her into the shadows. The words hit the room like a door slamming shut. For Camilla, according to those present, the resistance was humiliating. Not because William had raised his voice, but because he had challenged her authority in front of courtiers, aides, and staff who understood exactly what the argument was really about. Her lips tightened. Her hands gripped the sash of her gown until her knuckles turned pale. For a few seconds, stepmother and stepson simply stared at each other, and whatever polite mask remained between them appeared to fall away. Camilla realized in that moment that William was no longer the quiet boy from years earlier. He was no longer someone who could be moved aside by palace habits, seniority, or emotional pressure. He was prepared to protect Catherine's position, and he was prepared to protect the direct line to the throne, no matter how uncomfortable that made the room. But instead of backing down completely, Camilla's anger allegedly deepened. She turned away in silence, leaving the rehearsal area without giving the confrontation the satisfaction of a public reply. But according to this version of events, the silence was not surrender. It was the beginning of something darker. A new plan began to form for the day of the ceremony itself. On the morning of the procession, Windsor Castle felt unusually quiet and tense. The great doors would soon open for international guests, cameras, and officials, while guards checked their positions in the courtyard and palace staff moved through corridors with stiff efficiency. Deep inside the palace, Camilla made her decision. She would not accept the embarrassment of the rehearsal 12 days earlier. She would not allow the image of Catherine standing confidently beside William to dominate the broadcast. The fear of being overshadowed by the younger royals pushed her, according to the account, toward a line she should never have crossed. Camilla understood that if the original plan remained untouched, Catherine would become the emotional center of the day, and Camilla would fade into the background beside the king. To change this, Camilla planned an illegal swap at the last moment. She called her corrupt executive assistant to her private dressing room at Clarence Tower. She locked the thick oak door to keep out any curious servants. On her antique wooden dressing table, surrounded by makeup and jewelry, Camilla placed a small piece of parchment. Camilla had created a handwritten chart late at night. It was unauthorized and illegal. On this chart, she placed a large gap between Prince William and Princess Catherine, leaving just one spot in the middle. An arrow drawn by her shaking hand pointed to this spot. Camilla planned to step into that space during the procession, making a bold move. This wasn't just a harmless change. It was a calculated scheme to publicly isolate Catherine. Camilla wanted to make the beautiful princess look like an outsider in front of the public and cameras. The executive assistant looked at the chart with rising fear. Sweat dripped down his forehead and he trembled. He understood the importance of the ceremonial rules. He knew that changing the official procession chart without the prince's and the king's approval was treason. This act could ruin his career and reputation in an instant. But Camilla blocked his escape. She moved closer, her breath heavy with perfume. Her intense gaze focused on him, making him feel trapped. She threatened him by using his job and secrets against him. Before the procession leaves, you must secretly switch this chart with the Lord Great Chamberlain's official folder, she said in a low growl. Her words felt like a weight forcing him to betray his loyalty. With no way out, the assistant lowered his head in fear. He rolled up the nasty chart and hid it in his coat. He hurried out of the room, his face ashen. He quickly walked through the empty halls to the ceremonial operations room where the Lord Great Chamberlain's folder was kept. Taking advantage of a moment when the guards were shifting, he approached the table. His hands shook as he opened the leather binder. He took out the legitimate chart and replaced it with Camilla's sketch. The clip snapped shut, completing his secret task. Meanwhile, in her dressing room, Camilla looked in the mirror and smiled, pleased with her malicious plan. She was sure Catherine would face the worst public embarrassment of her life when the sun rose. But Camilla underestimated her opponent. She didn't realize she was up against someone clever and ready to counter her plans. The secret counterattack. Prince William knew that his power-hungry stepmother, Camilla, would not accept defeat after their heated argument at St. George's Hall. He understood her true nature well. She would use any underhanded tactics to gain power. The night before the ceremony, William set up a special surveillance operation. He turned the main operations room into a trap, ensuring there was no escape for any traitor. He ordered the installation of a hidden camera, disguised in an antique bronze statue. This camera recorded continuously and transmitted its feed to a secure tablet that William kept with him. When Camilla's nervous assistant made the illegal swab, William was in his study, watching the entire event on his tablet. He saw the assistant's guilty expressions and the quick removal of the original document. The video even captured Camilla's shaky handwriting on the fake document. William's anger grew as he saved the video as evidence against her. He knew he needed to expose the whole operation carefully, leading back to Camilla, the true mastermind. He went to the next room where Catherine was getting ready for the ceremony. He gave her a reassuring hug and warned her to stay confident and maintain her distance. He promised to take care of everything else. Camilla felt satisfied as she watched the illegal folder being taken out without anyone noticing. She believed she had won and was ready to show her power before millions of viewers. What she did not realize was that every action and decision she made had been recorded and analyzed by William. The once powerful hunter had become the naive prey. William held the key to spring the trap on her, the king's supreme wrath. After gathering clear video evidence from a hidden camera, Prince William acted without delay. King Charles III was adjusting his ceremonial robe inside his private chamber when Prince William entered without waiting for the usual formalities. There was no greeting, no careful palace language, no attempt to soften what was about to happen. William walked straight to his father's heavy wooden desk, placed a tablet down in front of him, and pressed play. King Charles watched the small screen in silence. As the footage unfolded, showing the assistant's alleged actions and the influence behind them, his expression changed almost instantly. Surprise hardened into anger as he struggled to process what he was seeing. According to this account, he could not believe that the woman he had fought so hard to make queen consort would allow a plan that could damage the monarchy on one of its most visible ceremonial days. Charles understood the danger immediately. If Camilla's plan had succeeded in front of the public, it would have exposed a deep fracture inside the royal family. Worse than that, it could have visibly weakened William and Catherine at a moment when the future of the crown was already being watched closely. There was no hurried family meeting to smooth things over. No carefully worded palace paper was drafted to invite discussion. Charles chose a harder path. He decided to use the authority that belonged to him as head of the family and sovereign. He rose from his chair and moved toward a large antique oak cabinet in the darker corner of the room. That cabinet, according to the story, held certain instruments of royal authority used only when a matter threatened the stability of the household itself. In front of William, Charles lit a small beeswax candle and held a thick dark red wax stick over the flame until the wax began to soften. He let the hot wax fall onto a sheet of royal parchment, then pressed his solid gold signet ring into it while the seal was still warm. The mark left behind carried the image of a three-tiered crown. This was not being treated as an ordinary administrative instruction. It was being framed as a command designed to protect the order of the ceremony and keep Prince William and Princess Catherine together during the Garter procession. The decree allegedly granted full authority to the Lord Great Chamberlain and the Royal Guard to act immediately if anyone broke protocol, regardless of title or rank. The red wax seal was not decoration, it was a warning. The next day, Charles handed the parchment, still carrying the faint scent of burned wax, to the Lord Great Chamberlain, who had been summoned urgently to the king's chamber. Charles looked directly at his loyal courtier and ordered him to carry out the instruction without making allowances for Camilla. Nearby, William watched the entire process, satisfied not because the moment was pleasant, but because the trap had now been set. Late that night, the net of royal authority was quietly placed around Camilla. If she tried to step outside the official arrangement, she would not be corrected privately afterward. She would be stopped in the moment, in front of the very world she had allegedly tried to control. The Garter procession began the next morning under a clear Windsor sky. Thousands of people lined the streets with flags and flowers, while international networks broadcast the ceremony live to millions around the world. Brass horns sounded as the procession moved through the castle gates with the dignity expected of one of Britain's oldest royal traditions. Queen Camilla walked beside King Charles III with a broad smile, apparently confident that the altered ceremonial chart had reached the procession coordinators and that the arrangement would unfold as she intended. She glanced toward the cheering crowd with quiet satisfaction, believing Catherine would soon be pushed out of the strongest camera frame. As the procession reached the central square in front of St. George's Chapel, the moment arrived. Camilla, according to this account, relied on the unauthorized handwritten sketch that had been slipped into the folder. Suddenly, she picked up her pace and began moving through the line, stepping forcefully between Prince William and Princess Catherine. The move appeared casual enough to be explained away, but direct enough to separate husband and wife before the cameras. Her large ceremonial robe shifted into the space around Catherine, blocking the view from the main television angle. She glanced toward the Princess of Wales with what some described as a triumphant expression, believing she had successfully pushed Catherine backward and taken control of the image. But the moment Camilla stepped into the gap, the plan collapsed. King Charles III stopped walking. He raised his white-gloved hand high in the air, and the entire procession came to an abrupt halt. The square fell silent. Then, to the shock of those watching, the king stepped out of formation and moved directly toward Camilla. His face carried the kind of controlled anger that needs no shouting. He pointed back toward the line and gave the command in a cold, unmistakable voice. "Return to your original position immediately." Camilla froze. The smile left her face, replaced first by shock and then by visible humiliation. In that moment, she realized the cameras had captured everything: the interruption, the king's command, and her public correction before the world. William moved closer to Catherine, took her hand, and stepped forward with her. Together, they became a solid wall of composure, restoring the formation while forcing Camilla back toward the edge of the lineup. The entire incident unfolded in seconds, but its impact was enormous. For a queen consort, it was one of the most humiliating public moments imaginable. Camilla had no choice but to retreat. Her jaw tightened, her expression hardened, and she continued the procession under the eyes of dignitaries. courtiers, cameras, and a crowd that had seen far more than it was supposed to see. When the group entered through the large wooden doors of St. George's Chapel, the public ceremony gave way to something far more private. The royal family quickly moved into a secure holding room reserved for senior members. The heavy oak doors closed behind them, and 2 armed guards took their positions outside. Without cameras and crowds, the atmosphere changed immediately. Camilla, still burning from what had happened outside, turned on the king. Her voice rose with anger and humiliation as she demanded to know how he could embarrass her in front of everyone. She insisted she was the queen and accused him of damaging her title for the sake of his daughter-in-law. She was breathing heavily, her chest rising beneath the silk of her dress, her eyes sharp with fury. But before Charles answered, Princess Catherine stepped forward calmly. She looked directly at Camilla and spoke with controlled firmness. "You cannot blame anyone else for this. You caused the division between a married couple in front of the cameras. Your own actions brought this down on you." Camilla gave a bitter laugh, still believing the evidence had been covered. She insisted that the ceremonial chart had recorded the position that way, and asked what right anyone had to accuse her without proof. According to the account, she believed the handwritten sketch had been destroyed after the swap, leaving nothing behind that could connect the alteration to her office. Then William walked to the wooden table in the center of the room. He reached into his coat and placed 2 items down with force. The first was the tablet showing the hidden camera video of Camilla's assistant swapping the chart. The second was the unauthorized handwritten plan, marked in the same distinctive ink linked to Camilla's office. William had allegedly ordered his own trusted security team to retrieve it once the ceremony began. Camilla stared at the chart. For the first time that day, panic replaced anger. Her body trembled slightly as she stepped back and gripped the arm of a heavy chair to steady herself. King Charles approached the table and placed the red wax decree beside the false chart. He looked at Camilla with a mixture of despair and cold resolve. "Did you think I was blind?" he asked. Then he told her that he had signed the decree the night before, after William had shown him the evidence. The trap, Charles said, was not something forced upon her. It was something she had walked into herself. She had used deception against the family, and now the truth would answer for it. Camilla lowered herself onto a sofa, unable to form a reply as the room fell into a silence broken only by her uneven breathing. In that moment, the dignity she had tried to protect appeared to collapse under the weight of the evidence. The punishment, according to this version of events, came quickly. There were no quiet negotiations behind closed doors. Within 24 hours, King Charles signed another decree stripping Camilla of certain ceremonial privileges. The golden key to the grand entrance of Windsor Castle, an honor she had long valued, was removed from her control. Palace guards locked the entrance with a heavy iron chain in front of staff, turning the act into a visible symbol of her reduced standing. Camilla could no longer enter that part of the palace as she once had, because Catherine now held the key. Charles also wrote a formal letter supporting Catherine's protected role beside William. He reduced Camilla's ceremonial schedule, prevented her from appearing alongside the next generation at selected events, and canceled all planned activities involving her stepsons. The assistant accused of taking part in the document swap was removed from palace service the same day. Later, Camilla reportedly told Charles that she had feared being overshadowed by William and Catherine, and felt she had no real power left inside the family. In a separate conversation, William told Catherine that he had considered pulling her out of the procession entirely if Camilla's disruption had gone any further. In the end, Camilla was forced to accept a reduced role far away from the center of royal life. According to this account, she was placed under strict restrictions in a remote royal residence, cut off from the family's main ceremonial circle, and shielded from the media glare she had tried so desperately to control. The story concluded with William and Catherine walking hand in hand through the palace doors at sunset, showing that good triumphed over deceit. Do you think the punishment Charles gave to Camilla was fair? Is her house arrest a deserved outcome for her actions? Share your thoughts in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more updates.